I'm here with Craig.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Craig.
Okay, Scott, you're all set.
Great. Chris, do you want to proceed with the introduction?
Sure. Welcome to the Portage Park District's regular meeting of the Board of Park Commissioners. This is July 27th, 2020, 5:30 p.m. This is a remote meeting. All the commissioners are calling in remotely, as well as myself. We have some staff members present at the administrative office and remotely. And I will turn it over to Scott McKinney, our president of the board. Tom Hurdy is out of town, and Scott is the vice president, and he will be chairing the meeting tonight.
Thanks, Chris. Good evening, everybody. I'll call the meeting to order at 5:31 p.m. Rory, could we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Engelhardt,
Here.
Commissioner Orsham,
Here.
Commissioner McKinney,
Here.
and Commissioner Hurdy is absent with prior notice.
Great. Thanks, Rory. All right. Did everyone have a chance to look at the minutes from the July 29th regular meeting?
This is Chuck. I did, yes.
I'm sorry, June 29th regular meeting. Thanks, Chuck. Alan, are you good to go on those two?
I'm on. I've got to abstain from the minutes, but yeah.
Okay.
So this is Chuck. I'll move to approve the minutes from the June 29th regular meeting.
Great. And since Alan's abstaining, I'll second. All in favor?
Aye, this is Chuck.
Aye.
And I abstain.
Okay. 2 ayes and an abstention, and the minutes are approved. Okay, we are on to executive director update. Chris?
Okay, actually, we have before that the financial report.
Oh, thank you. We'll do the financial report first. Did everyone receive and review that?
Yes.
I did.
I did as well. Chris, I have a question about that. Since this is through June, it's halfway through our fiscal year. And I see that our expenditures are lagging a little bit. We're at about 39%. Can you speak to, is that with just timing of construction expenses? Can you speak to the number there?
Sure. Yes, you're right, Scott. We do have some other bigger expenses coming up. If you'll go up to the personnel unit, you'll see that we're at 37.5% for personnel. That really reflects that we had a difficult time hiring staff this year. Our original budget was for 2 maintenance 3 positions and also 2 seasonal positions. We were able to fill one of those maintenance 3 positions, but did not have any luck with the seasonal maintenance positions. So that's, you know, this maintenance 3 was a higher wage and full-time position. So since we're not tapping into that, that really drops that down. I'm recommending that we move the budgeted amount for the seasonal maintenance staff over to our seasonal natural areas staff. They're a great crew and they have interest in staying on, and Bob's got plenty of work for him to do. So that's my suggestion. I've been talking to Bob about that, and then looking forward with his staff other options. The admin materials and supplies is also low, but we do have some lines in there for furnishings and fixtures for the new park. You know, this would be tables and benches and bike racks. So yeah, I anticipate that we'll be making some of those expenditures here over the next couple of months.
Great, thanks, Chris. That helps a lot. Chuck or Alan, do you have any further questions?
This is Chuck.
No.
Thank you for asking the question though, Scott. It was on my mind. I mean, I was trying to read into what Chris has shared, but thank you for asking her. And Chris, thank you for explaining a little bit more on that.
Yep, thank you. All right, can we have a motion to approve the financial statement?
I'll move, Alan.
And I will second. This is Chuck.
And Chuck second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. The financial statement is approved. All right, Chris, Executive Director update.
Sure. I can take any questions you might have on my report. Notable is we promoted Andrea to Public Engagement Manager. Congratulations, Andrea. She's been doing an awesome job.
Congratulations,
And,
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Andrea. Yeah.
Thank you.
under administration on C, we're right now talking with staff about how we might be able to get some reimbursement for some of our additional expenses related to the COVID pandemic. Portage County has been allocated, I believe it's $1.8 million. And so, I got a call from the county administrator and the EMA director encouraging us strongly to, consider the additional expenses we've had. So Craig and I are going to talk about possible, the amount of time that we've put into the cleaning of restrooms over time, any additional supplies. Rory's looking into that as well. So I'll let you know what we're going to submit for. But this would go through October, and then they're looking at possibly through December as well. So it's not only a look back, but a look forward.
Great,
Okay,
thank
that's
you.
Great. Thank you.
In regards to the WRRSP project, if you'll recall, we were awarded the funding for the Tinkers Creek Greenway Phase 3 is what I'm calling it. It's the Seasons Road Fen project under the name of Becker. So with that, we still have to get the sponsor, and we're working with Western Reserve Land Conservancy on that. It could be the city of Akron. It could be the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District. But once we get that, we're going to be working with them on the acquisition and restoration. So there's two portions to the project. We're doing the planning for it now with the anticipation that everything will happen next year. But the Park District is on the hook for managing the wetlands restoration portion of it. It'll be funded through WRSP, and it's a direct payout to the vendor, which is great. So we don't have to finance it. But it's kind of a new realm for us because it really lends itself, this kind of project lends itself to design build projects versus a traditional, like what we're doing at Trail Lake, which is a design bid build. With design build construction, it's more flexible. You have the designers and the implementers working together on the same team so that you can make changes in the field. It's a little more dynamic project, but then you also don't have to specify it so, specifically all of the work that has to be done. Which really lends itself to being a better project. So other park districts have used design build for wetlands restoration. I've never managed a design build project, so it's a little bit of a learning curve. There's a whole other section of the ORC that attends to that. So right now I'm working on developing a proposal, a request for proposals for what would be what they call a criteria engineer. And that would basically be the owner's representative who would be able to, talk the talk with the design build firm and help us develop the request for qualifications and all the specifications for what we want to do. But the first step is to get our owner representative and engineer. So I anticipate putting that out for proposals in August, and hopefully we'll have a recommendation for you for the August meeting to hire that contractor. That consultant.
Okay.
Any questions?
Oregon Operations Center and the Trail Lake parking lot are both substantially complete. They're just down to the final punch list items. We got the other quotes in and clarifications on the fishing pier for Trail Lake. So I have a recommendation for that for a resolution. And then we just today got the final information on the proposals for the concrete floor in the storage building at the Morgan Operations Center. So I did just send you a spreadsheet, and I have a resolution that has the spread of proposals in there. So we can talk about that when we get to that agenda item, if you like.
Great, thank you, Chris. Any questions for Chris?
Yeah, when it's under.
Go ahead, Chuck.
Okay, for Bob's under the natural area stewardship, he's referencing implementation of the Shaw Woods Forestry Management Plan. Can you speak on kind of the generalities of what that entails?
Sure, it does. This was developed by Tim Morgan. He's a forester. He was hired by Virginia Shaw initially to do the forest management plan. They had already a timber cut several years ago now. It may be going on 10 years. And he's updated that project, that plan. Bob's been reviewing it. Mostly it involves invasive species control and monitoring for the forestry. I don't believe there's a recommended cut there at Shaw again and for another several years. But that was a condition of the donation from Mrs. Shaw, that we continue the forestry management plan. So it's focused on selective timber. And right now we just have some management grapevines probably in that area as well.
Okay.
Very
I don't know
good.
if Bob wants to add anything to that. I see he's on now.
Yeah, I can just add that there is a kind of a punch list of action items over the 10-year period that the current plan covers. And so I'm just trying to keep up with those items in line with the timeline that Tim Morgan put in there. This year, aside from invasives, it was trying to, select and release some crop trees in one of the younger stands in the northeast of that property. So I'm just trying to do our due diligence there to stick with the plan.
How much longer do we have with the current 10-year plan then? And I guess the next question is are we obligated to renew this forestry plan once this ends? I mean, then you have to renew in order to remain in that program. And are we obligated, Chris, to renew, or do we want to do that or not?
So we're not in any kind of a official forest program like would be with the CAUV. This is so because we're tax exempt, we wouldn't get any benefit from it anyway. But this was Ms. Shaw's condition that came with the property. We do have a donation agreement that we had entered into with her before the property was transferred that said that we would continue this. Now, certainly we can work with the forester when it's time to update the plan and, make sure that it meets everyone's needs. But her intention with it, the sub name of Shaw Woods is the Working Lands Park. And her intention was to be able to showcase to the public how, landowners that have these kinds of properties can be conservation minded and, get some income from their property while still maintaining the conservation values. So, it's actually would be good for us to do some educational programming on that. Certainly in Portage County, landowners do need some advice on how to manage their forest lots.
Yeah, it would be interesting for folks to, if they have an interest or somehow to try to, I don't know how we promote that out there at that site, if that would entice more inquiry or not. But other than that, I'm just curious when this 10-year expires, we would have to renew. And if we don't, then we abandon the program. And I'm just curious if you have a position as to what you think you would like to do. Because other than that, I mean, from Bob's perspective and natural resources, management, he can do timber stand improvement on any one of our properties that are doing a lot of what he's doing as a punch out here on this property because we're working with the forester. So just curious if we talked about or know what we're going to do once that tenure does expire. Or if we're obligated to renew it. I mean, that's really where I'm kind of questioning. Are we obligated to renew it per the agreement when we, were acquired the property? Or
I believe we are. I believe we are compelled to honor our agreement with Mrs. Shaw. And I think it could be a really good educational opportunity for us as well. I'd like to see more of an emphasis on agroforestry versus just timber forestry management. Agroforestry has a lot broader and perhaps more sustainable. I'm not an expert on this for sure, but I think it could be a nice opportunity for people to enhance their forests. So for instance, Bob's planted a lot of pawpaws out there. And, we've talked about having other, edible forest products coming out of that. So I think we can tweak the plan to meet our priorities at the time. But her intention was that, we keep it a working property.
yeah, and I'm okay with that. I'm just asking because that was always my understanding is that it was intended to be per her wishes to be a working forest land, and working that plan and renewing it decade after decade after decade. At some point in time, if we're working the plan there, do we do a harvest? I like what Bob's saying where he's doing some release of more desirable specimens. I mean, that's part of the plan. So we are calling out trees and if I don't see where they're, I just think we need to be honest with each other and keep that talking point out there, because if someday we do, or somebody acts on and tries to do some timber harvest out there, I think that should not become a surprise to the public. And so that's
an excellent point, Chuck. And actually, I think it would, the Park District could really benefit from some selected timbering because we've got things to build. So, it might be pretty neat to have some of our own trees, to build these shelters with.
Sure. And Bob's probably familiar. I mean, at Cleveland Metro Park's South Chagrin Reservation, I mean, we worked with state foresters there and actually did an actual harvest of very undesirable trees. I can't believe we found a company to come and take the trees that they did and recouped some funding, but the money goes back into improvements, forestry improvements. But out there, I'm sure at Shaw Woods, there are probably some segments of that forest that probably could stand to have some canopy, removed and stuff to try to entice others. There's a lot of flexibility there and a lot of educational value. I just don't know if we're capitalizing on it enough or promoting it enough, I guess would be. So I think we need to pick a lane sometime and continue to promote it as it is, or we're going to, try to do what we can to just kind of follow a plan, but really have no intentions of ever trying to maybe do a harvest there. I get mixed messages, I guess, and I'd rather be straightforward with between us and the public. If it truly is a working forest with the end game being some kind of potential timber harvest, then I just think we need to always speak to it that way. So
that's an excellent point, Chuck. Bob and I can work together in reviewing the plan and seeing what we need to do to update it, and then I can get with Andrea and Jen about how we might promote it. And perhaps we can have a partnership with the Division of Forestry or Soil and Water Conservation District as well.
Sure. Okay, well, I appreciate it. Thank you for the conversation. That's all. Thanks.
If I can just pop in, just so the board's aware, I've already communicated with the Soil and Water District, and they're, whenever we are ready and have decided that that's something that we want to do, they are very interested in partnering on some educational programming out there.
Nice. Okay.
Jen?
Very good. Thanks, Jennifer, Chuck, Chris. Alan, did you have questions for Chris about the report?
Oh, just a detail. When you mentioned undesirable trees, I wonder what those are. I think Chuck said something about that.
I didn't, I mean, Bob would have to speak on that. He had mentioned he had been doing some specimen release, so I'm assuming that there was some competition with things that were, he'll have to speak on that.
Yeah, crop tree release is essentially going into a younger stand in forest, not necessarily always a younger stand, but and it depends on management objectives, what kind of trees you're trying to promote, but basically selecting some trees that are of good form and appear to be growing well. Maybe they're receiving competition on 3/4 of their crown and removing the lesser quality trees around them, trees that have forks in them or just competing for nutrients.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thanks, everyone, for your discussion on this issue regarding Shar Woods and the director's report. Let's move on to, I think, item 8. It looks like we have no briefing items and no old business. So we're on agenda 8A, which is approval of June 2020 expenditures. Are there any questions or comments for the staff on this report? Okay, hearing none, can I have a motion to approve?
Okay, let's see. I'll move to approve. Alan.
This is Chuck, I'll second.
Great. We have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Rory, are you there?
Sorry about that. Commissioner McKinney,
Yes?
Commissioner Orshan,
Yes.
Commissioner Engelhardt.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution passes. We're on item 8B, resolution for 2020 budget appropriations amendment number 3.
So this is primarily appropriating into our Eagle Creek Greenway Fund. That's our new fund that we just established. We moved our $325,000 local cash match. We transferred that from the general fund over to there already. So now we can appropriate. The capital outlay is primarily land acquisition. This is for the Carlisle Farm in Hiram Township, 326 acres. So we don't need that much cash in our account because the state is going to direct pay for the acquisition, but we still have to budget for it and account for a memo entry for the expenditure. So that's what explains that. For the Breakneck Creek Fund, we're still trying to work through with Dominion and finishing the final bit of their project out there from their pipeline replacement. We'll get what we can out from them. But in the meantime, we have this balance in our Breakneck Creek Fund that's been there and carried over year after year. So Craig and I have a couple of projects that we have in mind for that. My goal is to spend down that fund so that we can close it along with our other inactive funds.
Great, thank you, Chris. Any questions about this amendment? Okay, can I have a motion for approval?
Move to approve the amendment. This is Alan.
Thank you.
This is Chuck, I will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes?
Commissioner Orshan,
Yes.
Commissioner Engelhardt,
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution passes. Next item is 8C, request probate court approval for donations.
So you'll notice that in the attachment to the resolution, we go back to 2017. Earlier this year, I had an email from the prosecutor's office saying that this kind of slipped off the radar. So they asked us to put together a resolution for your official request of the probate court approval. So Rory and I went back and captured the donations over those years, and we'll submit this to the prosecutor's office, and then they'll create a motion for the court to approve it.
Very good. Any
How much
questions?
money is involved?
Alan, go ahead.
How much is involved? How much in donations?
I'm trying to add it in my head here. Going on maybe $80,000 or so, 90 maybe. 11.
Are those largely items from the Park District Foundation?
There are several donations from the foundation. The largest one is $65,900. That was sort of a pass through. The Burton Morgan Foundation donated the money to our foundation, who then donated it to us. And that was for the improvements at Morgan Park. There are a couple of land donations in there that we did not put a cash value on. We do have the appraised value. But we are not booking our land values in our budgets unless we're paying cash for it. So, you know, we're on a cash basis.
Okay, thank you.
So Chris, what's the mechanism that, I mean, other than our knowledge of that these donations will go through probate before they come before us? I mean, is there a check and a balance on that process? So
This is directed by the Ohio Revised Code, so all park districts have to do this, and it just says that donation approvals have to be made. You know, the probate court has to approve donations to the park district, and then what I'll do for next month is create a resolution where you all are officially accepting it on behalf of the park district. Now, I realize that it's, you know, a few years late on some of these things, and I don't anticipate the judge not approving the donations. I'm only presuming that check and balance is in there because of the potential, you know, if there were any, you know, quid pro quo or anything like that were happening. But I can't imagine that he's got any issues with this. There was a question, you know, years ago that I went back and forth with the prosecutor's office about the threshold. We were getting all of these, you know, $5 and $10 donations for our Wild Hikes Challenge. And that was pretty cumbersome for a while to have to, you know, go through the probate court for all of those. So I think it's still a little gray area. I'm not sure that every park district is getting every single dollar of donation, but that really was the impetus for us to shunt that over to our foundation. So right now, our foundation is handling all of the purchases and receiving all of the donations for the Wild Hikes Challenge. So, you know, they're just keeping the money. They buy the hiking stacks and the hiking sticks and the little brass tags for us. And then that goes into their general fund. So, you know, not sure when we'll get another sort of general fund contribution from the foundation, but that works to avoid having to go through the probate judge for every little thing.
So I guess the question is, I mean, so we don't get a lot of these, especially if the smaller ones are accumulated by the foundation. But if we do get another donation, I mean, what's the process that we make sure that it goes to probate for their approval first before it even comes to us for an acceptance? Because that's the way I read this, is that the probate has to accept it before we can even accept it. So
correct.
I mean, I don't know.
Maybe so this would be when we're in. I'm sorry, what was that?
I said maybe the process is more automatic than what I'm thinking. I just want to, you know, make sure that as we move forward, that if the probate has to accept it, that it goes there first, and then whatever we see when we look at it as a part board, that we have a reassurance that the probate judge has already authorized this.
I agree, Chuck. I appreciate that sentiment, and we'll make sure that happens.
All right, thank you.
Great. Any other questions about this resolution? Okay, can I have a motion to approve?
This is Chuck. I'll move to approve the resolution requesting approval of donations to the Portage Park District, 2017 through 2020.
A second, this is Alan.
Thank you. Chuck made the motion, Alan second. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes?
Commissioner Orsham,
Yes,
Commissioner Engelhardt,
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution is approved. We are on item 8D, resolution to authorize contract for Trail Lake Fishing Pier construction and installation.
So I mentioned this briefly at last meeting, I believe, it must have been back in June. We were still awaiting some clarification on the proposals and getting a third proposal. It's really apples to oranges, unfortunately. Each one has a little different construction style that they're pursuing. But I really feel that the Aquafab is the best value. He's provided a quote for what we've wanted, which was 8-foot wide decking, 100-foot long, out to a platform by 10 by 40. And he's giving us a bargain sale value on this, basically for $30,000. And that includes delivery and installation.
Sounds great, Chris. Any questions about this resolution?
And the foundations, this is the foundation paying for this, or this was separate from that?
Correct. This is
There was
separate.
something
They've
else separate.
already, yeah, they're going to be paying for the kayak launch.
Okay, yep.
Thank you.
So
Alan, any
I-
questions?
If not,
Okay.
I'll move to approve the award to contract for Trail Lake Park
Thanks.
Fishing Pier and Observation Deck.
a second.
Okay, great. We have a motion and a second. Chuck and Alan. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes.
Commissioner Orsham,
Yes,
Commissioner Engelhardt,
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution is approved. We are on item 8E, authorized contract for concrete floor at Morgan Op Storage Building. And we got all the bids back.
Yes, yeah, and just to, again to go over what this is about, the pole barn building behind the operations center. It's unheated, but it's a newer building. It's in great shape. It's got lighting in there. It's got some natural lighting as well. It's going to be a great place to store our equipment out of the weather. But Craig discovered in working back there that the floor that was in there apparently made out of recycled concrete, crushed concrete. And as it was degrading, it was turning into this powder and really creating an unsafe environment. You know, when you go to move around in there, it kicks up the dust and it just kept degrading. And if we were going to be working on equipment, we'd want a good hard floor. So, you know, Craig and I both recommend that we have a concrete floor in there. And then Craig went ahead and requested proposals from a number of companies. Craig, do you want to speak to the proposals that you got?
Yes, has everyone seen those proposals? I did receive 4.
I'm flipping through them now, Craig.
Yeah, the 2 proposals that are the lower cost proposals from McManus Concrete and Hopper Construction. Those are the 2 that we would be looking at. And I would say that the crushed concrete floor, in our preliminary discussions with Chris and I, we didn't anticipate we would be able to budget a floor this quickly. So although we did remove that crushed fill, we were able to utilize it in the demolition of the home. So it was been able to be used for a good purpose. We did see some value out of that. And so going forward, my comments or my input on the two proposals between Hopper and McManus Concrete. And if you look between RBS is the contractor that is working Morgan Ops now. They kindly submitted a proposal as well, and then Clegg Concrete, pretty much at the high end of that project. And if we only look at low numbers, Hopper Construction does have that low number. I'm not real familiar with Hopper. I don't have any problem working with them. I've talked with them a little bit, and I've also asked for some references. That building that we're looking at is 7,200 square feet, approximately 135 yards of concrete. And so I was just talking a little bit earlier that, there's nothing scarier than 135 yards of concrete starting to set on you if you're not staffed or prepared properly. McManus Concrete is a concrete company here out of Ravenna, and he submitted references as well. And just looking at the references, the size of the jobs compared between McManus and Hopper, McManus had jobs that were more of the size and the project size that we're looking at here. Again, with McManus, he put on his proposal using a laser screed. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that. You may have seen some of those in action, but it pretty much like a cart, with a motorized screed unit on it. Saves a lot of time, saves a lot of manpower. So I think that's a helpful point as well. He did indicate that was about a $2,000 addition in his proposal. So all in all, they're fairly close. I'll work with either one of them. We're looking at probably a less than $2,000 difference between both. If I had a recommendation, I would lean towards recommending McManus Concrete. But that would be your decision.
Hey, I have a question, Craig. What kind of base is in there or under that floor?
There's a pretty good 304 base under there now after that crushed concrete was removed. All of my contractors made site visits to evaluate that base. They believe that base to be good and appropriate to build upon.
Just out of curiosity, how thick is the base and how thick is the concrete that goes over it?
Where the proposal is for 6-inch concrete. Okay. We would probably need anywhere about 120 yards of additional base to grade that out, which would be graded, tamped. I'm using a heavy number 6 wire. I'm using a heavy number 6 vapor barrier as well. I'm asking that the control joints, that it would be saw cut the next day. These were some of the requirements that I asked on these proposals.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So just to be clear, these prices do not include somebody coming in to set grade. Is that independent of these concrete prices?
No, they will grade. They will set grade and prep the base as well as pour.
Okay, with the prices that we're seeing here, then that is included. Okay.
Correct. If you see the McManus concrete one, he made a total, but then in his notes, he added additional information for the materials. If you add that together, we can, for his 304 gravel, we come we come up to his 31,560 compared to Hopper's 29,600.
Okay.
Same amount of fill, same type of fill, same concrete, all the same items in the concrete.
So just, I mean, so if we go with your recommendation, I mean, you've explained to us your thought process for McManus over Hopper. And is everyone else comfortable with that if we got called out on it?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
And again, whatever the board would, I'd work, I'm going to be right on this project regardless of who we choose. You know, but like I said, I can't anticipate all contingencies, but if I can make all the efforts I could, I think McManus has given me, you know, the best shot for a good pour.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds like you're on top of it, Craig.
Yep. Can I have a motion on this?
I'll move that we authorize the contract for the concrete floor at Morgan Operations Center to accept the McManus bid as recommended by our park superintendent.
Thank you, Alan.
That figure is 31,860.
Okay, thank you.
That's what I see as well. And this is Chuck. I'll second that.
Great. We have a motion and a second. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes.
Commissioner Roshan,
Yes.
Commissioner Engelhardt,
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution passes. Any other comments for public session before we enter executive session? Okay, I'll take a motion to enter executive session to consider the appointment, employment, discipline, promotion, or compensation of a public employee, and to consider the purpose of property for sale of property by competitive bid.
This is Chuck. I'll move with that.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We are now in executive session. Andrea, if you could please end the live stream.